Senator Tuberville, please.
Amen. Senator Manchin on that. Thank you. Thanks for being here today. Mr. Raven, I want to ask about some of the Navy's training materials. In his first act as SecDef, Secretary Austin ordered to stand down for training on extremism in the ranks. Each service had to give this training, correct?
That's correct, sir.
How many Navy sailors received that training, do you think?
I believe that was force-wide, so
Okay.
so all sailors, all Marines.
Active and reserve?
I believe so, sir.
That's about 350,000 people in the Navy alone. Are you familiar with the training overall?
Generally, I'm not familiar with each product, sir.
Okay, our office obtained a copy of the brief that was given to every single sailor officer in the U.S. Navy. One slide says, and I quote, "I come from a very conservative religious family and have views on marriage, abortion, and LGBTQ rights that are often not considered mainstream, but are in keeping with my religious beliefs. I often discuss these issues online and on social media forums maintained by my church. Will I get in trouble for my post?" Are you familiar with this Navy training that went out to all of our sailors?
I'm not familiar with that part, sir.
Okay, I've got a little slide here I want to submit for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Thank you. You know, mainstream media means normal. So the Navy is implying here that conservative religious people are abnormal. Kind of concerns me. Mr. Raven, 65% of the American population identifies Christian, and another 4% of Americans are Jewish, Muslim, or Hindu. The vast majority in this country, the Navy's recruiting pool is religious. The Navy's spending millions of man-hours on a training that blatantly calls many of its service members abnormal, and then being surprised that recruiting numbers are down would be like a college football coach walking to a recruiting house and calling mom's wallpaper ugly. I mean, it just doesn't work. I know a little bit about recruiting, and I think we got to do a lot better job than that. So, Mr. Camarillo, the total Army and active reserve and National Guard has a recruiting challenge. I think we all agree with that, and we're all watching it. The active component missed its target by the largest margin in American history in 2022. There are a lot of reasons for that, and we all understand that. Many of my colleagues have hammered that home. I won't repeat that. Everyone in this room, along with most Americans, want to see you and the Army succeed. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I want to shift gears here for a moment. A new recruiting ribbon is not going to cut it, okay? A promotion point scheme that has very little conversion rate, it's not going to be good enough. We got to find new ways. We got to think bigger. In June 2021, the Supreme Court opened the door for the Army and every service to marry national service with participation in collegiate athletics. Private tech companies have demonstrated repeatedly to Army senior leaders the capability to identify, access, and assign America's high school student athletes who wish to continue their education and athletic careers collegiately in exchange for national service. I think we're missing the boat here if we don't look at that. It's not ROTC. It's a 21st century pathway to service. It's a strategy and a tactic guaranteed to produce a well-educated, physically capable, coachable, and aspiring fighting force every year. 45,000 men and women at the Division I level alone are eligible. Can I get your word today that you will investigate this pathway?
Senator Tuberville, I just want to say, first of all, the number of efforts that we're undertaking in the Army to address the recruiting challenge are far greater than just the recruiting ribbon. A number of efforts to improve how we attract people to the recruiting workforce, where we station them, how we train them, in addition to surge of marketing and advertising, other incentives for people to join. It is a whole of Army approach to try to address this significant challenge. But certainly, I'd be willing to work with you and look forward to discussing that proposal.
Thank you very much. Imagination, we got to start using it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Tuberville. Senator Shaheen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to each of you for being here today and for the work